Welcome to another episode of Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy and Dino.
And sometimes Jared.
Down the Barrel Podcast is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association
and wolf.report. Wolf.report, a platform dedicated to elevating the voices of Minnesota hunters, trappers, and outdoor enthusiasts. Join us in advocating for responsible wolf management in Minnesota. Share your reports, photos, and stories, and together we will ensure that they are seen by all.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, protecting the future of deer and deer hunting through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation. All right, and today we are talking about the Outdoor News Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, the recap.
Yeah, the show that was just down in Shakopee.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, I've been going, well, this would be my fifth time there.
I think this was my fourth, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So
Third for me.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a great show.
We had good weather.
Crazy good weather on, what was it, Thursday or Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Friday when it like 70 degrees.
Yeah, it's crazy warm.
Yeah, a lot of people there and overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. And we had a little bit of change up in the booth this year. Perfect spot, like always. Really love the spot that we're in.
Yeah.
Eric's did a great job putting us there.
Yeah.
But we had the side-by-side there
We did.
for the Hunting and Holland sweepstakes.
Yeah.
That was nice to have that in the booth. That brought a lot of people in.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure did.
You know, and I mean, I guess we can't deny that the bug-eyed fawn was on the rooftop.
That's right.
So that got a lot of good conversations going
Yeah.
too. You know, mainly with the younger crowd.
Yeah.
Right.
The kids really liked it.
But it was still pretty cool. I like the setup we did this year. Very inviting for people to come in. So
Yeah.
And we did get lots of people to stop in.
Oh, God, we were busy.
Yeah.
yeah, I got a few pictures that I know we didn't post of. Well, the times I wanted to get pictures, I couldn't even get out of the booth to take
Right.
pictures.
Right.
But I know at one time, and people are going to believe me, but at one time I want to say, Jared, you had probably 2 or 3 people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, you were talking at least 2 or 3, and there's a couple standing in the back because there's a
Right.
family. I had 2 guys on the one side of the table, and I thought the conversation was over, so I could sneak out and get a
the
picture.
people that were in line. to
Yeah,
talk to
yep.
us.
Because then
Yeah.
there was, it was just crazy. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You know,
It was a very productive weekend for sure.
it was. Yeah, got a lot of new members, some
Right.
renewing members, and
Right.
a lot of raffle tickets. Yeah,
yeah, we did
I would
really,
say since I've been going, it's the best year that I've been there on membership wise and, just fundraising.
Oh, for sure.
I think so too.
I think we sold like 70 years worth of memberships.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this was the first year we really did the education raffle there, and
Right.
That went really well.
Very popular. Sold
and-
out.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
did.
bring in.
We ran out on day 3?
Yeah, yep. And I should have brought a few more books of them. And then we, Chevy tickets are always a plus. We're right beside Chevy there, and Chevy's a really big sponsor of the show, so that works out really nice. And it's nice to be able to walk around and talk to our partners, sponsors.
Right.
We what was it, Friday? Or was it Thursday? Friday, we talked to Paul, Wildlife Research.
Yeah. Wildlife
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
Went over and talked to him. And then I talked to, what was it? We talked to BHA a little bit SCI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Domain was there.
Yep, Domain. And then talked to Melissa Bachman for a little bit the one night.
Yeah.
Saturday night. Saturday evening, I should say. Then actually networking with some other people that are members and they have businesses or just other stuff that we can maybe get into.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what I like about the show too, is the networking that we get, because everybody there has something to do with, deer, turkey,
Right.
the outdoors world.
Right. Yeah. Whether it's merchandise or new gear or conservation partnerships or even beer. We
right.
talked to a couple breweries that are potentially wanting to partner with us.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff there. I always enjoy going.
Yeah. And the kids zone was great again this year.
Yep.
Yes, it was busy in there every time I looked.
Yeah, we went up there a
couple times, and I don't know. I still like the falconry area. That's always cool. Although I still think they're going to eat me. Right.
Or they want to peck my eyes out or something. But
I'm always so tempted to just reach out and pet them.
No, right?
Yeah. Probably not advised.
No,
they look pretty serious.
Right.
Always watching you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, watch as you walk by. But yeah, that always seemed pretty busy. It seemed busy everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a couple times that we were, kind of dying down on our level, but you go to the middle part or the upstairs, and it's like, God, there's people everywhere.
Right.
So it's just and I don't know. We talked to a few of the measurers, and they seem to have a pretty good turnout.
Very good. Yeah, they were saying there were a lot of impressive deer that were
they
brought
said
in.
a lot of large deer this year.
Yep.
Yeah, and then when we went up and we're looking at them, I was impressed. I think this is one of the better ones. I mean, somebody else, they would know more than we would, but I don't know. I thought there was a lot larger deer that were measured this year, and a large portion of it, and maybe that's like it every year, were shot this past season.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's a few older years, not too many, but
right. Well, they've got that little section that's the leaderboard.
Yeah.
This year, I saw that changing out a lot more than in previous years.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been like, Friday you get this big buck that gets up there and it's there till Sunday.
Yep.
This time it was pretty routine.
Yeah.
There was a new deer up there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good conversations, with everybody that's coming through the booth.
Right.
Probably 90%, would you say, was the main topic.
Yeah, wolves.
Yeah. We started counting how many times or how many people it would take until we got a conversation other than wolves.
Right.
But yeah, I'm always happy to talk about the need for wolf management in the state of Minnesota.
And we talked a lot about it.
Oh yeah. Talk till, I still hear it in my own voice.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have nightmares about it.
But that's what's on people's mind. And
absolutely.
We're making progress on the wolf issue.
Yeah.
Both at the state level and at the federal level.
Yep.
So people are curious about it, and yeah, it went well. I told this to everyone I talked to there. I think we are in a pretty good position to optimistically have a wolf hunt as soon as this fall.
Right.
With federal delisting coming down any day now. Honestly, personally, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. Mm-hmm. So I would expect that hopefully very soon, but otherwise over the summer. And then, with the wolf plan in place and all of that, I think we could have a hunt this fall.
That would be impressive.
It would. And that's why, the sooner the better that we get that federal delisting, because there is in Minnesota state statute that 90-day public comment period. Yep. So we need to get it delisted soon so that we can get through those 3 months and then hopefully be out in our stands with a wolf tag as well.
Yeah. And everybody we talked to about that and stated that they were all very receptive. And positive about it.
I wouldn't say everybody, but 99.99%.
Yeah. Right. We always have those, 0.1 or 1%, 0.1%.
Right. A couple people that,
ignorant.
Indulge in the Kool-Aid.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're always going to have those.
Right.
Have a little too much to drink.
And there's just no changing their mind on it.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
They're just one-sided, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But other than the wolf issue, we didn't. I mean, if we got a little bit of kickback or hate on it, it was pretty much the wolf issue, really.
Right. And most of it turned out to be just a decent conversation.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it was, negative. It started that way, but usually it ended with
most everybody
coming to an agreement.
They were most pretty respectful this time. I mean, we've talked about it before, and we've had it before to where they weren't respecting us at all, and more or less just walked away and
don't
just
even let you get a word in.
Exactly, But it seemed like everybody this time were pretty respectful, you know, for the most part, and walked away decent.
I think everybody's in a good mood because the weather was so nice.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I didn't get flipped off at this show, so
I mean, I flipped you off a few times.
That is true. You don't count. Some decent questions about the shotgun.
Yeah,
Zone
shotgun
elimination, and you had an interview.
Yeah,
did
KSTP.
Yeah,
right. Channel
ABC.
5 News.
Channel 5.
ABC affiliate.
Yeah. So I did a 10, 15 minute interview with them, and
that came down to 5 seconds.
Yeah, they really cut it down.
That's how those go.
Right.
You get your little sound bite in there. But yeah, so we talked about the shotgun zone elimination and kind of where that's at right now. We've come close for a few years now. But that bill has been kind of repackaged this year to explicitly state that it's up to the counties to decide what firearms they're going to allow to be used within their county. So from the state standpoint, all firearms will be legal if this passes. And then from there, the counties can decide what they want to restrict. And then that's where the enforcement would get taken off of the DNR conservation officers and put on the county sheriff's office.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm optimistic that it will get through this year. It's kind of been hung up in the House Environment Committee the last couple of years, and we've got a bit of a change in leadership there. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully we can get that done.
Yeah, it still amazes me, as much, it's out there, but people still think that it was about the safety all along,
right?
And still consider that. And I know there was one gentleman that came up and he kind of expressed that, and I was hearing you talk to him and explain that it wasn't about that. He's kind of sat there, took it in, and just goes, okay, well, I guess if it wasn't about safety, then why wouldn't we go for it? And he did like the idea that the counties can choose, because there's a few people that we explained that to, they didn't even know that.
Yep.
You know.
Well, and that is current law right now. Counties can restrict firearms however they want, but they don't necessarily know that.
Okay.
And with this change in the shotgun zone, they want that explicitly outlined within the legislation that does pass. And I'm trying to remember if it's the same gentleman that you're referring to, but there was one individual that I talked to that came in thinking it was a safety issue. I explained it wasn't. It was a harvest issue, which is no longer valid at this point. And all of the research shows that the safety concerns, the data doesn't back that up. Right. And then he started talking about, well, my concern is more around poaching then, so if we go to high powered rifles with scopes that can poke out there a bit further, are we going to have more people, shooting across the fence line or road hunting? And my response to that is maybe, honestly, maybe, but what is the purpose of creating laws?
Right.
Is it to cater to the people that are going to break them anyway?
Right.
Because if you're a poacher, you're a poacher.
Yeah.
And get the pink button. If you're a poacher, you're a right. So, you don't design laws around the people that are going to break them anyway.
Right.
So if you're going to be a poacher or a trespasser, this law is not going to cater to you. You know, it's going to cater to the law-abiding citizens.
And honestly, if you're a poacher and a trespasser, you were doing it at the beginning with no matter what weapon of choice that you chose.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. And honestly, they're probably doing it just as much, if not more now, because you hear a gunshot at night or in the evening, late evening. Oh, it's just a coyote hunter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't.
Right.
It was some guy, with his 243 taking out that buck of yours.
Yeah. You can walk out there right now with a grenade launcher, and hopefully you go to jail for it.
Right.
But the law says you can't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, yeah.
And like you said, the coyote hunters are already out there shooting those rifles anyway.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
At
Deer,
night.
white-tailed deer are the only species that you cannot use a rifle for in that zone. Well, I shouldn't say the only species, the only big game species.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some conversations on that. I had, well, I guess we had a couple, but I know I had one about crossbows and about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, he was just spewing disinformation that he's heard. And by the end of it, he did shake my hand and, said, well, we're going to agree to disagree, and said, thanks for the good conversation.
Right.
So, but.
And that's how you're supposed to handle it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably, me on the way out, but that's okay. I don't care about that. But
Right.
But no, at first it got a little heated, and then it kind of settled down, and then we were both kind of, well, we're going to agree to disagree, and then we kept talking, and then just ended with a handshake, and away he went. So
yeah. Well, I had a similar one. It was an elk farmer actually that came in, and he was hot and bothered mostly about the wolf issue, but also our stance on CWD and cervid farm regulations. And basically was trying to claim that MDHA has single-handedly ended the cervid farming industry in the state of Minnesota. And that's not true.
Correct.
This was a piece of legislation that heightened regulations on captive cervid farms, that MDHA was a signer on a joint letter to support that piece of legislation, and
Right.
every single conservation organization in the state of Minnesota signed on to that. Every single legitimate conservation organization.
Yes.
Everyone supported that, and that's not to say that CWD is here in the state of Minnesota because of captive cervid farms. Nobody in their right mind would claim that they are the only source of CWD, but they have been proven to contribute to it, right?
Right.
And we as conservationists are going to fight anything that is contributing to a problem that is facing our way of life and our wildlife. And so that's MDHA, that's BHA, that's Pheasants Forever, that's Trout Unlimited, NDA, at the national level even.
Yeah.
So everyone was backing this legislation, right? And he came back at me with, it's there's no cure for it. It's inevitable, right? It's like, well, that might be the case. I don't think the science backs that up, but I could be wrong, right? It might be inevitable that CWD is going to run its course through the state of Minnesota. Any step we can take to slow that spread, that progression, that trajectory is a step in the right direction, right? And so he didn't really like that answer.
No, he didn't.
No, but he also left with a handshake.
He did.
And then immediately took to Facebook.
And definitely he you.
Yeah. So he left a nice comment about, how I'm just a wolf lover. And,
Loser, I think.
I'm a big loser.
Yeah,
The biggest loser. But yeah, I'm there for 3 days. Well, 4 days if you include the setup, right?
Right.
Down there for 4 days talking to thousands of people about the need for wolf management in the state of Minnesota.
Yep.
And I talked to him about the need for wolf management, and we actually found common ground there, I thought. And shook my hand, and, in one ear, out the other.
Pretty much.
I don't know what you do about that.
Sometimes you just can't fix stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Or ignorance. You just about the only
it's
way
inevitable.
to get. It's inevitable.
The stupid's going to have to run its course.
Right.
Yep. As we watched that night, Forrest Gump, stupid is, stupid does, or you just it is what it is.
Yeah. One thing that surprised me is we didn't have anybody come up to, at least not me, to talk about the wolf issue that was on the other side.
No.
Any hard feelings we got was from other hunters about the wolves, which I thought was odd.
Yeah.
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 And most of it was coming from a particular direction in the state.
Right. Yeah. We walked around that entire show, and I don't think there was a booth there that was more prominently displaying the need for wolf management than us. Right.
None.
There wasn't one at all.
We were the only
I mean, there was one that had a taxidermied wolf.
Oh.
But they weren't saying anything about the wolf issue. They just were a taxidermist and happened to have a wolf in.
They figured that check this out. We're going to get people in our booth because we have a wolf.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, we were the only ones there, as far as I could tell, that were actively advocating for wolf management in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we didn't have one person come into our booth and say, "You're a bunch of assholes. We need to protect the wolf. It's a great species," whatever.
None.
Not one person.
No.
We had people coming in and saying, "You're not doing enough."
Right.
Yep.
What more can we do? I mean, any organization that cares about that issue was at that show.
Right.
We were the only ones advocating for it.
Yep.
What more can we do at that level, at least? We're doing a lot more at the state capitol, at the national capitol. I don't know what you want from us.
I know. I don't get it either. And they don't have an answer either, because you ask them. Because I remember we asked them, what do you want us to do? Well, you need to be more boisterous. You need to do this. It's like, so kicking and screaming and pitchforks and all this, that doesn't get you anywhere. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, again, we were the only people there that even resembled pitchforks and screaming.
Right.
We're not doing that, but we were the closest to it.
Yep.
There is this other group that has the pitchforks on social media.
Right.
But they're not at the venue.
The real world events.
Right. Where they need to be.
Right.
If you want your voice heard.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes no sense to me.
No. And it was good to talk to, I always love the stories coming in, of hunters or even young kids. Speaking of the wolf issue, talk about hunter stories, first of all. I get a kick out of it. There's a couple people, probably less than a handful, but, man, there's just no deer north of Aiken.
Right.
I go, really? I go, like, how far are we talking north of Aiken, bud? And he goes, north of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids and north. I go, huh. I live and I hunt north of Grand Rapids and Grand Rapids. I go, I saw deer, and our sons got deer during youth season, and I ended up, harvesting one, and I had deer on trail camera every night,
absolutely.
and whatnot. So it's like, there's deer. Well, and then he just went on, and we BS for a little bit. Then he just kind of went away, and I had to bring it up last night on our drive home. We actually were just south of Aiken by 5 miles, and I had to hit the brakes because I about smoked 3 deer.
Exactly.
Across the road. But that was south of Aiken.
Right.
So this gentleman's comment, and a few of them were, there's no deer north of Aiken. Mm-hmm. And so we're on that new stretch just north of Aiken by 8 miles. And what do we see?
Tons of deer. Yeah. I think we counted 30 between Aiken and Hill
30
City.
Between Aiken and Hill City.
Well, I live between Grand Rapids and Big Fork, and I saw 9 in the field on my way to work this morning.
Right,
like there are deer,
There is.
and that reminds me of another conversation I had with somebody talking about the wolves and how there's too many, which there are, and we need wolf management. Nobody within MDHA is denying that fact, right? But this gentleman, his complaint was that he used to be able to go to his hunting shack opening day and kill 2 deer before 11 a.m. on opening day, and he can't do that anymore. It's like, well, I'm so sorry that they're not tethered to a tree for you.
Right.
Put in the work.
Right.
There are deer.
Yep.
No, are they trophy bucks? No. Not everyone, right? We're not Caledonia up here.
Right.
But there are deer.
Yep. I will agree that, you get further north, and there's less and less deer, but there's always been less and less deer as well.
Yeah, I grew up there, hunting up there by Big Fork. And if you saw 1 deer a season, I considered that good when I was a teenager.
And you were shooting at it.
And I was shooting at it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, that's maybe that's where the biggest complaint, I guess, about MDHA is that we are not a trophy hunting organization. We are a deer hunting organization. We're out there for the thrill of the hunt and the harvest and the meat that comes with that, right? We're not here for APRs and, big bucks. And maybe people think we should be, but our members think otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? I think otherwise.
Oh, for sure. Yep. And we're all going to agree, like I said, yep, there's spots that there's less deer that the wolves have definitely taken a full effect on. Yes. The land where we were talking even before the podcast, the land where we used to hunt, where I got my big Minnesota buck, there was plenty of deer, a nice big deer out there for years. And then the wolves moved in. The deer kind of moved out, and we still had a buddy that would hunt there, and he went many years with only seeing, let's say, 5 deer, where normally you'd see 20 deer.
Yeah.
And so we quit hunting there, moved to a different spot, but we went back one year because he kept hunting there and seeing the progression of the deer coming back in as the wolves are moving out.
Right.
And he's harvested 1 or 2 deer there a year since then.
Yeah.
But we already moved spots. So, I mean, it's everything. It's a progression. Things are going to change. It's not going to be the same that it was, back 10 years ago.
Right.
And the hunting, just even the last few seasons, it's been warm. Opening weekend.
Right.
The deer have been more nocturnal, at least on our cameras,
Well, it just says, there's multiple reasons why you may not be seeing a deer or those 2 deer before 10,
Right.
And if you've been doing that same spot for 15, 10 years, whatever it is, you might want to move maybe.
Yeah, this tree over.
Right. Change it up a bit.
And then like we've said before, okay, so, but what are you doing on your land or in your area? I get if it's public land, you can't do hardly anything, but what are you doing to improve your hunt?
Yeah.
To improve your property, your area.
Your chances.
Well, right. I'm going to push back a little bit on if it's public land, you can't do anything, because you can do a lot if you join organizations like MDHA or BHA or
there you go,
anyone who does these public land habitat restoration projects. That is, we've done over 100,000 acres just from MDHA.
Yep.
And that is to benefit you and your chances and your success rate on public land. So join and support the conservation organization of your choosing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Or maybe you need to use more wildlife research products.
There you go. If you're in an area where it's allowed.
But you can always use scent control.
Correct.
Yes, you can.
Or scent elimination.
Right.
Yeah. Which I did get a bottle of that and I left it in the truck, but they got this new stuff out. Did you guys see that?
Sports stuff.
Yeah.
Sports. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty neat.
I know. My parents would have loved if I had that for my hockey bag growing up.
I know.
Yeah.
And they were going to a hockey tournament over the weekend to try to push them. Right. So that was kind of cool.
I think he said over in like a Noka area.
Something like that.
I can't remember where
I don't remember, but I don't know. I got it in the truck and I don't know. I might try to use it on my son's shoes.
Yeah.
That boy's got an odor that,
teenage boys usually do.
Ain't like anybody else.
Yeah, so check out Wildlife Research Center's scent control.
There's some new products in scent control.
Sport line.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Put in those hockey bags because those things stink like ass.
Oh my God. I haven't worn my hockey gear in, I don't even know how long, 15 years. And it still smells horrible.
I can imagine it would get worse after that long.
Right.
Yeah.
It might be the rodents that are living in there.
That could be.
I can't imagine they'd even live in there.
Yeah, probably not.
But back to the wolf topic. I remember a lot of people would come in and ask, how can they support wolf management?
Right. We did have that.
And my answer was always what you were just talking about. Join MDHA. Sign up.
Yeah.
Wolf Report.
Yes.
Yeah. Sign the petition on Wolf Report.
Yep.
Contact your legislators.
Yes.
We have 3 promising bills moving through the Capitol right now in the state of Minnesota that will mandate a wolf hunt.
Right.
Contact your legislators and let them know that you support them.
Yep.
So besides all that, you guys walked around the show. What was some of the coolest things that you saw, or something, even a product or anything that you might look into afterwards to either get or
Well, other than the
pursue?
wildlife research stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I bought was this little, what was that? Like a resin molded
antler European mount.
Yeah, European mount. That was really cool.
For your mirror.
Yeah,
for your
truck.
mirror. Yeah.
I forget the company that made it, but I thought it was pretty cool.
I forgot the card too.
Yeah, they made some really neat stuff. Yeah. That's the only thing I bought. I mean, obviously, I loved looking at all the mounts, and that was probably my favorite area, is the trophy wall.
Yeah, that's always cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who knows me knows that my biggest passion is the next generation of hunters and conservationists. And so it's always cool for me to go visit the kids zone and see those kids getting engaged in archery or fishing.
Right.
You know, that's that like I said before, that room was packed every time I walked past it.
Yeah.
That's just awesome to see.
Yeah. And I think that's why MDHA sponsors that room.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the most important areas, I think, at the show.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. As for me, there's quite a bit. A few taxidermists that had really cool pieces.
Yeah.
I wish I would have brought her card with me. But she had this fox in the winter that was
with the mouse under the snow.
Yeah, with the mouse. That was really cool. And she had she had a couple good pieces there. That was really neat.
Oh, what was her name?
I
don't know what her name is, but her business was like Trident.
Maybe it was. Yeah,
Trident. It was like Trident. Every time I saw it, it was like Trident, but it wasn't. Yeah. It was like Trident.
I feel bad I forgot a card, but anyway, that was pretty cool.
Apologize.
And then I ended up buying this really cool bolt action deer antler pin.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was neat.
That was super cool.
And the gentleman gave us some koozies, or coasters, not koozies. Coasters with MDHA on them. So we're definitely going to get some of that, purchase some of that. Of course, I go there even looking at obviously the merchandise guy.
Right.
You know, so okay, what new products are available, or what is something that we should look at, or new partners even. You know, it wasn't the Banks blind; it was the different one, Redneck. Yeah, we walked in the Redneck blind, and that was a very cool setup. Mm-hmm. I was impressed with what they're adding into the interior
of those
of the blinds, just blinds. To make it a little bit easier,
right.
You know. And then the was it nested?
Yeah,
yeah, that's by Artisan, pretty sure.
Yeah, they own that company.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, such great systems for your saddle setups and everything.
Yeah. I didn't make it. There was another saddle company there, and I didn't make it. We walked by them once, and I didn't get a chance to get back.
Yeah,
I really wanted to check them out. And of course, we saw your Sitka boys there.
Sitka was there, yeah.
Oh, dude, man! Since they opened that mall or opened that store in the mall.
Yeah,
they must have had a good run on Sitka for.
Yeah, there was a lot of people wearing it there.
Yeah, for pretty boys.
Mm-hmm. Well, I ain't pretty, so there goes that theory.
You ain't, but
you also ain't a boy.
Not any longer.
All I can say is some of the fashion with these caps. They don't even fit your head, dude.
Well, they would if they would just loosen them. You know, they like tighten them up all the way with the little button snaps.
And you guys are sounding like old men now.
Flat bills, and they're way up high.
It's like, get off my yard.
Worried about like sneezing in front of them because their hat's going to go flying.
Right.
I bet they don't walk outside in the wind. Their hat would blow away.
Yeah, and another thing that was nice down there, we had a couple Down the Barrel fans.
We did.
Yeah.
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, walking by. Hey, I love your guys' podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think we're somebody else? But no, they were talking about Down the Barrel.
They were.
And a shout out to your buddy, Brian. He's one of our biggest fans.
Brian and Heidi.
Good old Brian B.
Yeah, they stopped in and visited us.
I thought I was going to.
Their Down the Barrel decal.
Right.
I offered for you to sign it, but I think it was in his bag.
I think he wanted you to sign it.
Oh, that's true. That could be. But yeah, and there was actually quite a few fans. I was surprised.
Right. Mm-hmm. People do listen.
I'm amazed.
I thought we were just talking to each other, but
pretty much, or at least the solid 10 people that listen that are,
but they're a good 10
family.
people. They're a good 10 people.
Right.
My family doesn't even listen. So,
Yeah.
Should we talk about the worst thing you saw there?
Worst thing?
Or is that just going too far?
I'd have to think about it for a second.
Oh,
You got one?
Mine.
Oh, wow.
You got one?
one.
I'm not going to use their company name because that's just rude.
Okay.
It is rude.
But man, there was this company there that I swear to God, they went to the landfill and pulled every artificial Christmas tree they could find out of that landfill and just cut the branches off, tied little zip ties onto the end, and they started selling them as ways to break up your silhouette and your tree stand.
I missed that. I did not see that.
I must have missed that too.
They were selling like 3 little artificial Christmas tree branches for like $45. Just to break up your silhouette.
Either that or I walked by and goes, that's dumb. And
That's what
just
I did the
kept- and
first
didn't pay
time, but I
attention.
walked past it like 5 times.
They were
and it just-
concealed, so maybe we didn't see them because those Christmas tree branches.
That it worked. It really
Maybe it
worked.
does
good.
work. Right?
Yeah.
Although I think a white-tailed deer has more intelligence than you two.
Well,
I would
Probably.
hope so. Otherwise, there would definitely be no deer
otherwise I'd
north
have
of Grand
I'd have
Rapids,
a big mount. Yeah.
north of Aiken. Yeah, worst thing I saw. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, the only thing that was a little bothersome, which was those turkey calls, which
I
they're
would-
great turkey calls,
Those are great turkey
but I would
calls,
not want to be set up next to those
No.
boys.
No. And if I'm being honest, the Christmas tree branches was right next to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
maybe that's why you just put your head down and kept walking.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's like let's just get by here because this.
Right.
Yeah.
But I am going to give a shout out to them. They are not a sponsor. I don't even own one yet. But Anthony Myers custom calls.
Was that the ones in that area? Yeah, I mean,
and they're annoying as shit when you're at a show like that because you just hear him all day long. And I don't know how his cheeks aren't sore by the end because he's using the mouth calls and everything.
Right.
But
They're
yeah,
nice.
he makes some nice.
because your pen guy bought one.
draws.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You're showing it to us, a glass one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really nice. One.
yeah, and they're just gorgeous.
They're beautiful calls,
They'll
but-
put like the iridescent turkey feathers inlaid in the glass and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
And those guys are at Duluth usually
They
too,
are,
right?
yeah.
They're usually outside, and I know at Duluth when I walk by, I say, "Oh, I
Yep.
quickly."
Yeah. I don't know how they don't just have a migraine 24/7. Maybe they do.
Maybe they have,
Anthony, if you're a listener, let us know and send us a few calls. We'll use them this spring.
right?
The one positive thing, and I know we said this before, and I want to keep saying it, is everybody that is at that show as a vendor is there for deer and turkey and the outdoors world.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
That
why
is
I love
one
that
thing
show.
I love about
That show is true to its name.
Yes.
Right.
You know.
And then that's where you get
One of the few.
Yeah. And you get everybody who comes there
Yep.
is for that.
Yep.
They're an outdoors person.
Right.
You know.
Nobody's there to find the next best concrete coating for their garage.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Or, freeze dried candy.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they do have the nut
They
lady.
do, but
What's it called?
that
Nut-
person's there all the time.
Right.
That's
They just
a
like
staple
live there.
of Canterbury. Yeah.
Right.
And they're great.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I
needs
didn't buy like 2 pounds worth of nuts this time, or the trail mix. That Southwestern mix is usually what I get when I go there.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't.
I got to give a
I did
shout out to
partake.
the folks that run the concession stand by us.
Oh,
What
yeah.
a nice,
They're the
hardworking group of people.
They are
They're the
awesome.
best.
They were there as long as we were all day.
Same people.
Same people all day, 10 hours or
They
more.
were there before us and after
and
us.
after us.
Yeah.
And they were super polite, always very helpful. And I wish I would have got their name, but they are awesome.
Yeah, give us all the overflow popcorn and
Popcorn,
hot
hot
dogs.
dogs. I mean, they took
would've-
care of us.
Yeah, they would have kept us.
And they were
fed.
handing out our koozies and everything for us.
right.
They're
That was
promoting
awesome.
MDHA. I mean, great group of people.
Yeah,
There was more koozies. I wish I would have brought another. We could have got rid of
5,000.
5,000 koozies.
Oh, yeah. Those things
uh,
were hot.
and it was great because even the people would walk by and we had them kind of sitting on the table, and actually the second is like, okay, we got to kind of save some of these. We
Right.
got to ration them. So I would put them behind one of our signs and whatnot, and people, I mean, they're bright orange, you can't miss them.
Right.
But they would see them, they walk by with the beer and go, can I have one of those? It's like, yep. And but then there's other times where it's like they're grabbing beer and whatnot. I was like, yeah, here you go, you need one of these. Boom, boom. Should be like like koozie salesman.
Right.
You need a koozie. Everybody gets
a koozie.
right?
MDHA
What's the
koozie.
profit margin on a koozie though? Like 5 cents?
Pretty much not enough. One of those feel good things.
Yeah, exactly.
Koozies have kind of taken over the pens, I think.
Yeah, I would say that
Right.
there was we had our logo there more than anybody.
Oh, it was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Oh, and
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah, because we walked around. We had a couple banners up on every floor, and then the kid zone.
Flyers, they were
banners.
everywhere.
Yeah, signs.
Right. We had banners in the conference room or the little seminar room.
The seminars, yeah.
As
right
first
up-
thing you
right up
walk
on
in the door
stage.
by us, there was a Hunt and Holland banner.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had 1,000 koozies out there with our logo on it.
Oh, at least.
Right. Yeah, and there were some good seminars too. You know,
Yeah, there were.
Melissa Bachman, she did
a
one
few.
every day, I think.
Yep.
Whitetail Properties, and
Yeah, there was some fishing ones.
yeah. Then Barb Keller from the
was gonna
DNR.
say,
Yeah, she did a couple.
She did a kind of a live Q&A. Yeah, that was brave of her.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad she did it. You know, the DNR, I think, if I have my biggest critique of them is getting out there more, you know, engaging with the general public more. And I think Barb did a great job doing that every day. She got some tough questions, and I think she did a good job answering them.
That was a question that we had come by us too. It's like, where's the DNR booth? It's like, I don't think they have one there. I mean, they have the tip,
Right.
And then we got some COs
tip
there,
is
but separate. Yep.
Yeah,
but
right.
as far as true DNR, there wasn't a booth there.
Nope.
No.
But yeah, I think having that seminar with Barb every day was at least a step in that direction.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
As long as people can be respectful and be honest about their questions.
And if we're being honest, not everybody was.
Well, that honestly is to be expected too.
When it comes to that,
day and age.
they usually aren't, you know.
No, they have something to say and they just want to say it. They don't really care what the answer is.
Yeah, it's kind of like the keyboard warriors half the time.
Yeah.
You know,
They say their piece and then they don't listen to the response.
yeah,
Right.
or they'll say it online, but then when it comes down to, person to person, face to face, they won't do that.
No,
Yeah.
they don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was overall a good show, like it always is. I always love going to the show, and we always get a really good response. We get a lot of memberships. We get a lot of raffle tickets. The Hunt in Holland did great.
Yeah,
I mean, having that machine there was awesome, and it was. And I kind of felt bad that we just didn't have enough space for the trailer,
Right.
but flow trailers were
Represented.
distributed just down the road or just down
Up the
way.
hallway. Yeah.
But we had the banner there that showed it, and we told I think I had told every
Everybody.
single person,
Everybody.
that would say, "Yep, that's the package." They go, "Oh, side by side." I go, and it comes with a flow trailer, and they go,
And then
Go look at it.
yeah, and they go,
right?
really?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's that trailer on the picture. There's one just like it down the way here. You can see it and whatnot. And I think it was awesome. That really helped.
Oh, that was huge.
I mean, it would have been cool to have it in the booth, but man, that there's no room.
No.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, huge shout out to Polaris and Flo and
Rays
and
Colpin.
for putting that package together for us.
Yeah.
It's been very successful and
Absolutely.
we're very grateful.
Yeah. And we're going to give that thing away this week.
Yeah,
Friday.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get a really good phone call.
And that somebody is Jared Missouri.
Actually, it's Meredith Jazurek.
I wish. No, I'm not eligible, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, because the more I look at it while we were down there, I was like, man, this is a great little machine.
I know. I'm thinking that I really agree with him. Like, man, okay, so what can we do for Rays? What kind of deal would they give me?
Right? It's like, and just you sit there and look at that thing like we did for the whole week, and you're like, man, I need this.
Right.
I need it.
Well, and then the whole setup, what I like, and most people probably wouldn't, you don't know, but it was just, it started out as your basic 570 DFI.
Yeah.
Just camo,
nothing on it.
nothing on it. And then Colpin and Polaris just set us up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, the
They turned
doors,
that
the
into
windows.
a very, very nice machine.
Yeah, the accessory package on the back.
The cargo racks,
Yeah.
the gun holders, the
I mean, that
chainsaw holder.
That made that whole machine, because when you first look at it, it's like, okay, it's a 570. It's a nice machine. Don't get me wrong. And I like that smaller, narrower platform. I really do. For everything
gets you
that
down
I would do,
trails.
it would work.
Yeah.
And then when we get it decked out, it's like, man,
Very
that thing
nice.
is awesome.
Well, in the end, it was $25,000.
Yeah,
You know,
whole
that package.
Yep. And then by adding that full trailer in there, it's like, man, you'd be stupid not to buy a chance if you're eligible.
If you're
That's
eligible.
right. That's right.
Unlike us,
Yeah,
who has to just
we are stupid.
hand it off
Yeah.
to some lucky person.
I might cry.
I will cry.
Yep.
Yeah.
I probably will. And then in another, I guess it is only March, another couple months, we'll be giving away a Chevy
That's right.
Right.
to a lucky winner.
Yeah. Chevy Silverado,
Yeah,
the official truck of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association.
That's right.
exactly.
And there were some nice Chevy trucks at the show.
There were.
Yeah, there were.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that blue one.
ZR2, I think it was what they're calling it.
Yeah, and that one had the Duramax in it.
Yeah. That was something. They had a dually there even.
They did. Yeah, I try to get more Chevy ticket sales by saying, hey, you sign up for that one. That one goes nationwide. You don't have a chance of winning that. You should buy this one.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and hey, we'll throw you in on a Maluna cooler.
That's right.
Which we do got to do the drawing for that
Yes.
here pretty quick. Somebody's going to win a nice 22-quart Maluna cooler, which is made in
Baxter.
Baxter,
There
yeah.
you go,
Yeah.
Minnesota.
My old stomping grounds.
Yep,
Kind of.
kind of.
Kind of, sort of. It still is kind of.
Recreation.
Yeah. Cabin grounds.
There
Right.
you go.
So I don't know. What else did we do this weekend?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Honestly, if I had one complaint about this show, so for those of you who don't know, I'm assuming you all do, it takes place at Canterbury Park, card club, casino. My only complaint is the blackjack table could have been a little hotter.
Yeah.
I don't know. We spent a lot of time there on Thursday
A
night.
lot of time, and we left with what we went in with.
Yeah, I didn't lose any money.
Right.
No.
We got drinks and everything. Like, basically, it paid for drinks.
Right.
So
it did entertain us for a good 3-4 hours.
right. So
Sure did.
I'm not complaining, but it could have been hotter. It
could have been.
My brother showed up for like an hour
Yeah.
on Saturday?
Yeah.
And he left, $1,200 richer.
Yeah. He just walks up there nonchalantly, like, I'm going to go get some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just went to a cash machine and he lied to us all.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I sure do like the venue. I like Canterbury. It's a great
Yeah.
spot.
great location.
Yeah. I look
Yeah.
forward to that show more than
Yep.
any other. I mean, the other ones I'm like, oh, we got to go do that. But this one is like, yeah, absolutely. I ain't missing it.
Yep.
And then Eric makes you feel so welcome.
Oh, Eric's
we're like part of the team when we go down there.
I feel like it.
I mean, we literally were. We were opening,
We
closing
did.
doors.
We had to go and open. Yeah, we had to go and
Hanging
open a
up
few
signs.
doors.
Yep.
Right. We were actually put to work. So
Yeah. No, he makes you feel like family.
Yeah.
And when you're there and treats us well,
absolutely.
and it's really nice. So, big shout out to the Outdoor News crew that puts it on, and Eric. So
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
yeah, I can't imagine. I just can't. Needless to say, we didn't see him any other day other than
We saw
Thursday
little
and then
blurs.
here
Yeah,
on
as he
Friday.
flashed by.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, no, it was a
But
good
no,
show.
yeah, it's a great show. And yeah, like you said, huge shout out to Eric and the Outdoor News crew for keeping it true to deer and
Absolutely.
turkey. There's nothing there that doesn't apply to deer and turkey
Right.
No,
in some
I mean
capacity.
maybe that hot dog or popcorn, but
But you got to have
Those
those.
are turkey dogs.
That gets you through the day.
Hot turkeys.
turkey.
Hot turkey rolls.
Yeah. Yeah, so our next show, sports show coming up, more or less, would
Until
be
the summer, right?
Trap shoot,
yeah,
right?
trap shoot. Yep.
And then game fair.
And then game fair. Yeah, coming up after that. So those should be some really good shows as well.
Right. And we can't forget to mention that right now, today, it is St. Patrick's Day. So happy
It
St.
is.
Patty's Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it sounds like you guys are going home to some corned beef
Corned
and cabbage.
beef and cabbage.
Damn
I'm so
straight.
looking forward to it.
I'm not
You're
even
both going
Irish,
to
but I like
separate
it.
homes for that?
We
are.
Or are you
separate
going
homes.
home together to your little
That wouldn't be the
twin
first
bed
time we
you
did
share?
that, but no.
Right.
We have two separate corned beef and cabbages this year.
I'm going to take a picture of mine and see which one looks better.
I don't know, but I think he sounds a little jealous.
I think so too.
Very jealous.
No, I'm not even Irish, but it's awesome.
I'm totally Irish.
I
so.
may have to pick up some Guinness on the way home. I did that last year, but I picked up the wrong stuff. It wasn't just the normal Guinness in a can. It was in a bottle. Because I was like, Guinness in a bottle. I don't know what it was. It was not right.
Was it the nitro?
No, it wasn't nitro. I don't know what it was. I can't think, but of course, Guinness is always better out of the tap anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
I think maybe I'll pick up some Guinness, do something Irish.
You should.
But I'm going to go home, there's this Polish soup. It's sauerkraut and kielbasa.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. I think that's what I'm
Can
going to
you
do.
make a Polish meal on St. Patrick's Day?
You probably shouldn't.
If you're Polish, you can make a Polish meal whenever.
Whatever.
As long as you got some Guinness, whatever.
Yeah. All right. We'll take that to you. At least you're wearing green today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was entirely intentional, too. It's not like it's the same hat and sweatshirt I wear every day.
Right.
He never showered.
No.
I showered this morning. I just put the same clothes on.
He does a sniff test.
Right. Yep. He sprays Wildlife Research Center spray on it. Yep.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, buy some scent killer gold. Never do laundry again.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, perfect.
You can use that ad, Paul.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
for
you
you.
should.
That is
Skip laundry
free.
day.
Yep. If
With
you have to
Wildlife Research Center.
there you go. That should be their next ad. Yep. Skip laundry day.
Speaking of Paul, we have to get him on here because he has some great stories he needs to tell us.
We
Right.
do. We talked to him on Thursday, wasn't it?
Thursday or Friday? I
think it was Thursday we were setting
Yeah.
up. Yeah, we talked to him quite a bit. Yeah, he's got quite the stories and he knows quite the people.
Yeah, he does. He grew up with some very interesting folks. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get him back on here to talk about Paul.
Yes.
Not Phil. Paul.
Right.
That's funny. Nobody probably knows that we messed that up. But,
Yeah. Well,
there's a few people.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul knew, which is really all that matters.
No, he probably didn't.
He knows now.
He does now. Well, if he listens.
Yeah, he don't.
But no, all in all, great show.
Yep.
Very, very positive comments from 99% of the people there.
Right. Lots of new members.
So many new members.
Lots of renewals.
Yep. Renewals.
I mean, just a lot of traffic. We got to talk to a lot of people. I mean, I was losing my voice by the end of the weekend.
Right.
Yep. Always a good show. I like going down there.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of good response.
Yeah.
And a lot of chapter officers and everything in that area.
Well, and some of the lifetime members. I talked to number 26. He walked by.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has his card still, and you can just barely see it says 26 on it.
Yeah, I had a couple under 500. I always see him. He always comes in. And then another chapter member, he's a little bit higher, kind of in the thousands, but he's going, I need a new card. This one's getting beat up and everything. I said, yep, shoot me an email, give me a call. We'll get you set up. So, that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Always good to see those guys.
Yep.
From the 80s.
Or even the people, that walk by. It's like, hey, they kind of pause, they look, they grab a koozie. And it's like, want to sign up for a raffle? Nope, I did at my chapter banquet. Oh, or they come up, I'm a life member.
Right.
Thank you for what you do.
Right.
It's like, yes, thank you.
Yeah. A lot of those people.
Yep.
And, we give them a hat or
For sure.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Just good to see them.
Half the time, even whatever we're giving away for our membership promo,
Right.
it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
As a life member,
Thanks, sir.
here you
Thanks,
go.
Jug a domain seed.
Right.
Yeah,
we did
that
give away.
went.
We got rid of all our domain seed.
Oh,
did.
man.
That
We
was
got a lot of it.
everybody wanted that.
Yeah.
So sorry, domain, if we cut down on your sales at your booth, but
Yeah.
we did spread the word.
Right.
Yep.
And we send people their way too.
We did.
We did.
I definitely did. Every time I gave them, I'm like, if you need to know more information, you got to go upstairs and talk to domain.
Yeah. Go
tell you
ask
how to
them how to plant this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where and how and what.
Yeah. And, I know we're wrapping this up, but kind of my closing thought on the Deer and Turkey Classic is just, it's amazing to walk around there and be able to see how many booths are partners or sponsors or collaborators of ours.
Absolutely.
And that brings us back to the conservation and hunting community. Like, we are huge, but we're small.
Right.
Like, we're all family. We're all working towards the same mission. And it's just great to have these venues like the Outdoor News Deer and Turkey Classic to kind of reconnect, have that family.
To just kind of be there all together,
Yeah.
you know, doing what you love, talking about what you love.
Right. You know, I mean, how many people just walk up and pull out their phone? This was my hunt this year.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I see all kinds
let
of
me
nice
show
deer.
you mine. You know, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yep, it really is. And to reconnect with, you know, even people that aren't necessarily, you know, partnered with us or whatever, the guys from Iowa, you know, those guys.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, we chit chat with them all the time and whatnot because it's the same people at the booths every year. And so that's always fun too, you know. But no, it was a good time, good show. Can't wait to go back.
For sure.
Wish we didn't have to wait another year.
No doubt.
Right.
But
Although I'm guessing Eric can probably take a year. He probably.
he probably
I'm sure Eric
needs a year to
wishes
recoup.
it was a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So no, it was great.
All right. Well,
Well, yeah, I think next week we're going to kind of preempt our
predator hunt.
I think
trip
so.
to Kansas.
Right.
Ranching
Ranch edition's coming up.
Yeah, Ranch Edition 2.
2.0.
Yep.
2.0. Yeah, I think
that'll
we
be
all
fun.
have improved our setups. Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Well, hopefully it equates to actually some predators being dead. But
Well,
let's
you know,
hope.
I mean,
if nothing
it'd
else,
be
we
nice
have
if
pretty
you
good
guys got
guns.
something.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we let him shoot one.
Yep, exactly.
Woke him up. Said, Jared, there's one over there. Shoot.
Yeah. He's like, what are they? Yeah. So,
Awesome.
well, cool.
right,
Until
well.
next time.
Later.
See you.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.